Throughout his 16-plus year career, he has sought out opportunities that have allowed him to combine his technology and finance skills with his passion for people and culture. While U.S. born, his family returned to Lagos when he was only months old. And when he returned to the U.S. just in time to start high school, he realized just how similar and different his experience as a black man would be depending on the country or the continent upon which his 2 feet stood. Please join me in a passionate and strategic agent of change, my good friend Yemi Akisanya, in the arena right now.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Yemi, my brother, my friend.
How are you?
I'm good. You know, you and I met quickly. You were very clear reaching out at Chicago State, and I liked that from the beginning. And I think I went, can we go deeper? And you went, yes, yes, yes. And we have stayed connected since I left Chicago State. And we've reached out to you asking for support as we are deepening our work, having conversation about people and culture. And we'll be talking more about that in the weeks to months to come. But right now, I want to focus on you because I find you to be one of the most interesting humans I've met. And I've met some interesting ones in my own family. But the title of this show, as we're having these conversations, the subtitle of this is African American. And you have the unique position of, and we've talked, it's a unique, similar and different perspective, but you step in both of those roles. So let's begin at the beginning, shall we?
Please.
When and where were you born?
You want to know the year?
Bring it.
All right.
I mean, well, you know, it's your credit report,
okay.
people, but you know, it's out there. Listen.
So I was born in 1982, Chicago, Illinois, specifically University of Illinois Hospital.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when I was born.
Tell me about the woman and the man who created you.
Oh man, yes, happy to. My father, you know, his Prince Yemi Akisanya. He is the son of the Odemo of Ishara, who was a king. My grandfather was a king of Ishara Ijebu. My mother, she is Princess Tinuade Akisanya. She was daughter of a king, a different king. Okay. Ashaye in Ogere, Ijebu, Nigeria as well. And so my parents both met back in the, I wouldn't say early 60s, and they decided to come to the United States to further their education. So they were immigrants, student immigrants at the time. Had 4 kids, myself being the youngest of the 4. And then at some point, less than 6 months after my birth, we relocated back to Lagos, Nigeria. My father still lives in Lagos, and he never came back. However, my mother chose to move back to the States after a divorce in 1986. And my mom still lives here in Chicago. Actually, she lives in the south suburbs of Chicago, and supports myself and my 4 siblings with her wise words, advice, prayers, and prayers.
The princess.
The princess. Oh, well, she says it's double princess because she's married to a prince and she's born of royalty.
Do the math,
so,
people.
Yes.
And she's earned it. It's hers, and
That's
we are
right.
going to honor that.
That's
Love
correct.
that. Double princess.
Double princess.
How fortunate. You know, my mom considers herself a princess. There is no royal blood or any of that. But to be a double princess, I would imagine that the power of that brilliance and wisdom must be something that you and your siblings appreciate.
Oh, my God. Every day.
Good.
Every day.
Speaking of your siblings, are the 4 of you close?
Yes, very close. So let me tell you the story about it. You know, it was interesting because, as I mentioned, I was barely, 5 when my parents divorced, and my eldest 2 siblings came to Chicago with my mother. So from age roughly about 6, 7, up until age 13, it was a broken family. It was myself and my most immediate older brother in Lagos, Nigeria, and my mother and my eldest two siblings in the U.S., and we had zero
Oh, you
communication during
stayed
that period of time.
behind, separated from your mother.
That's correct. For that, I'm gonna think it was
Okay.
7, 8 years where it was zero communication. It was like nothing. Like, you know, it felt like I was a family of two, right? And so that was interesting. But in '96, you know, my father reconciled with my siblings, and we had a chance to see my siblings again. And at the time, I'm, you know, 13 years old, and ever since then, it's felt like we, you know, it feels like we have time to catch up on.
It matters
Oh
more.
God, it's so today. I mean, we're so tight. You know, I think I mentioned to you I spent 6 months in the UK, you know, for work assignment, and my siblings all came to visit, and we had a wonderful time. Just and that was our first. And it's fun. I'll share this picture with you. The last photo we took together as a sibling trip was in 1983 or '84. We came to LA to go to Walt Disney. The next time we had a sibling trip was this trip, where we were all together, and we actually took a trip to Paris, and we had a great time. But no, we're very close.
I'm gonna be a sibling. Can you switch?
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna.
Yeah, at this point in
I've had a
time.
good run with mine, but
Likewise.
I'm gonna
Likewise.
make a no. Well, then we can swap out because yours
Yeah.
sound. And you know, but again, right now in times such as these, everything that where you find your village, where you feel less alone in this world, it is a topsy-turvy time. So,
Yeah.
knowing that, I envy that relationship. Because my siblings and I, my remaining living siblings, we're finding our way. But when I hear someone respond immediately, that is just when you've got your siblings who know you.
Yeah, and I think sometimes that was built through adversity.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And you make a choice. You can folks. You know, I hear folks in these conversations go, well, you know, we had no choice. You did. You made an intentional choice through adversity, through family separations, to intentionally keep that bond. It doesn't happen without the work and the intention. So.
Yeah, you know, I often say the gift of life is a gift of choice. So we always have a choice.
Come on.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, speaking of siblings and family, who is Bella?
Oh my God.
And there's the look.
Yeah. Bella is my teacher, you know. She is my reason, you know. She is my heartbeat, my joy, my inspiration. She's my daughter, and you know, she's had a interesting, you know, upbringing. Bella's just going to be 9 years old, February 15th, so in a couple weeks here. But similar to my journey growing up, her parents had a split when she was just 4, and she just has a knack to have a sense of emotional intelligence and favor for people, where in the midst of any situation, she wants to be kind to you. You know, so I feel indebted to her kindness, especially having had to go through a divorce of her parents, and in a very, you know, difficult time. She was always kind, and yeah, no, that's my little girl.
And now I have 2 follow-ups. One is the relationship with Bella's mother. Are you? What is as much as you're comfortable with the current status of that partnership?
Listen,
because Bella's the result.
You know, I'll tell you, that relationship has been one that had been on the amends for a while. You know, in fact, you know, and we've talked about therapy, you and I, and it was her mother who had introduced me to the world of therapy. Listen, I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria, and
Eastside Detroit, Lagos, Nigeria. In that regard, we are one.
Listen,
yes.
and therapy to young black men, boys, specifically because I represent that community, is something that is for people who have mental problems of sorts, or people who have
weak and broken,
and you know, and that was the misconception that I carried for many years, and it was interesting when Bella's mom had introduced that to me. I was like, so you want
Okay, let me see my.
So you want us to go meet a stranger and tell the stranger our problems and have me pay for it, and then it's
That's
all
how your
fixed?
logical mind
That's how it
saw it.
works. That's how this thing
Yeah, I
works.
just want to make sure I'm understanding.
I just want to understand what you're saying, right? And so I'm so thankful for her helping me understand that there was an opportunity there for us, and we went, and that was incredible, not only for our communication ability, but it began to give me tools to handle certain situations. So when we ended up becoming separated and divorced, the tools that we learned during therapy, and again, till today I still go to therapy, those tools kept on working. So to answer your question more directly, it's a working relationship, but one that is healthy enough that we raise our daughter in a way that I hope she appreciates the decisions we made that were very difficult for both her and I.
And it's I'm so grateful for you saying that, because I think I take every opportunity on this platform that feels like a privilege for me in my work as a servant leader. So to have other Black men sit in this space and share the journey, it is so powerful and so important, and we have to begin to help each other unlearn. And I always say, it's not that when you know better, you do better. When you know more, you evolve. But mental health, for all of the trauma that Black men, Black people deal with, I cannot imagine right now, 2+ pandemics in, not having the support of therapy, because as much as the people who love us, they love us. And we need objective outside sounding boards. The people, some of the people I love, I don't even want to burden them with those things, because they love me. Their response, their thought partnership is going to come from that place of love, which is tricky. And mental wellness is just like you being in incredibly good shape, as we noticed when we hugged it out and I bounced off of your body into the wall of the studio and made a commitment to get back on the road tonight. It's like that. But if you had a sore throat, or you broke your arm, or you go for your physical once a year, or whatever it is, just to keep the systems working. So I think really to change the perception. So someone like you in your position to say it, to remove the stigma, it is more powerful right now for our communities. It means the world. So thank you for that. Let's take a step back, because this is, I'm going to go back to when you returned for your high school years.
Correct.
Where did you go to high school?
Thornwood High School.
Tell me about what was most surprising about that experience. Just walk me through it.
So to help give, I guess, color.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. It was incredible. The decision was made that I'll be pulled out of school in Lagos, Nigeria, and join my siblings and my mother in the U.S. and go to high school and go to college, and once I get my degree, go back to Lagos and continue my life with my father. And so when I came, I was nervous, to be honest with you, and I was excited. So I was excited about just going back to the U.S.
Because you have no memory since.
I have zero memory.
None. You were
6 months or less.
Yes. Okay.
But I watched a lot of American movies,
So of course you know.
Of course I know. Come on. And my siblings tell me stories about how we lived and all that good stuff. But I was moving from a country that I not only grew up with, but grew up in and like-minded people. And I'm Yoruba, which is one of the three, shall I say, primary ethnic groups, right? There's Yoruba, there's Igbo, and there's Hausa. And there are hundreds others that are much smaller and encompass maybe less than maybe 15 to 20%, whereas those three encompass about 80% of the population of 200 million plus people in Nigeria. Not at all. I am in the vast majority, especially being in Lagos. There are a lot of Yorubas in Lagos. So I grew up in where people looked like me, sounded like me, and so coming to the U.S. And going to high school at the age 14. In high school in Nigeria, I was an in guy. I was a cool dude. I played the sports.
Just say it.
Just say it.
Lay it out.
I didn't expect any difference. But coming to the U.S., I was a bit nervous about assimilating in a much more diverse environment than I was ever used to. Right? So white, Asians, Mexicans, blacks, but I felt comfortable that I had a lot of blacks in my school. I was like, I think there was a time where there was maybe 45.
So you found the
50%
initial
blacks.
comfort in that.
Oh God, the idea of that, and this was prior to going to school. But on the first day of school, things changed rather quickly because I remember, we came into a homeroom. This is 15 minutes. We do attendance, and you go around and say your name, and with my very deep Nigerian accent, it gets to me, and the person saying their names is having a hard time, and they just start spelling it. So I'm like, I help them. I'm like, my name is Adekunle Yemi Akisanya. And immediately,
And I know what happened in your home.
in the back of my ears, I'm hearing, what? What did he say? Did he say Kunta? Kunta Kinte?
First
And
day.
it stuck from that moment. So, I'm walking the hallways, going from course, class to classroom, and I'm hearing, Kunta, I must stop, all these yells, and I'm hearing monkey calls, right? And for me, what was most shocking, Darius, was it was for my brothers and sisters. It was the people that looked like me, the African Americans, and so that initially confused me, and then it was, the folks who I thought will probably have a harder time getting used to me were, maybe the Mexicans or the Asians or maybe some of the Caucasians, and they were the ones comforting me, like, hey, it's okay, don't worry about it. So that was my quick lesson on, how quickly having an accent or having a different name set me apart, even within a community of the similar race, and I would say same race.
And I want to talk about where you went to college, but this takes me on the line. How do you come with certain expectations from what you've heard and what you expect, just similarities of appearance? How did you manage that? How did that sit with you then? And has that impacted on some level relationships with African Americans since?
Yeah, it definitely has. And the way that I worked through it, because at first, my first instinct was, hey, listen, everyone's laughing. Laugh with them. Act like this is all part of this joke.
It doesn't bother you.
Yeah, so I played into it, and I started to make monkey sounds. They're like, hey, do it again. I'm like, and everyone's laughing, and I felt like I was part of the joke.
Yeah.
Right? But then, it starts to get to the point where I didn't feel like laughing on a certain day, and they're like, hey, do that monkey thing, and then I choose not to, and then it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to do the monkey thing.
Dancing when we tell you to dance. Yeah.
So that became difficult. And so I went to the part where I revolted. Like put my chest up, and I'm like, no. And then, then the bullying came, and I got teased and jumped on the bus and all kinds of stuff, right? So that happened. I'm like, that's not working. But for lucky for me, I guess lucky for me, throughout that process, I played sports, right? So I started playing soccer and.
Wait, or here's what you said to me.
Yeah.
You played what most Americans. I just wrote it because it was from a pre-interview. No, there was a tone.
You just had to say
there was a tone. What
there
most Americans call soccer, but what we call the real football. Is that correct? I'm sorry. The tone is probably.
The tone was close.
That was mocking. But I want to be clear. So because we're always learning.
Yeah.
Soccer. But if you call it what it is football.
It's football.
Okay.
Right.
But for most American audiences, you did not play American football. You played the real football, also known as soccer.
Correct. Well, I played both.
Oh,
right?
of
So I
course
played.
you did.
Yeah, I did eventually. So I played the football, the world football that American calls soccer, and I also ran track. I was a jumper, so I did both long jump and triple jump. And then I also played American football. But I'll tell you this. So American football season and soccer are in the same season. And so I would go to the American football practice every day, because I really loved the game. It was new to me. And however, on the weekends, I'll start for soccer and play those games. Even though I did not make any practice, but for the American football games, I wouldn't have been, I wear a uniform, but that was about it.
Okay.
Right? So I wasn't very good. Okay. That's the point I was trying to get at.
Okay.
But anyway, long story short, over a period of time, things began to change. I started playing, I started doing well in soccer, started doing very well in track, getting, accomplishments. and it began to change. And so it went from being the African booty scratcher and went from being, man, Yemi's really fast. He must be chasing monkeys. That's why he's so fast. And then it's like, Yemi is fast. No, that's my guy. And then next thing you know, it was like, no, don't make fun of Yemi. And these are others, you know, stepping up for me now and say, no, that's my teammate. No, that's my good friend. And so by sophomore, junior year, the tone changed. And by my senior year, I felt like I was one of the brothers and sisters from elementary school. So yeah.
And you never, you appreciated the transition and did not, because sometimes my question would be, I wonder if I would have seen that, so now that I have value to you, treat me with respect. Yeah. But you saw it as, we built the bridges.
Yeah, you know, yes, I saw it more like I needed to, it's not any different from any other situation. When you have, you know, think about any, you know, really tight cohort of whatnot, right? You got to earn your stripes,
we are
man.
not welcome.
You're not just going to come in here
and,
right. And, you know, be the cool kid without having to go through
we
some of the
are going
tough,
to mock a little,
right? And so not saying that I support or encourage such behavior. I did not. It wasn't very nice for me to go through that. But it didn't have an adverse impact on me. In fact, I grew a deeper appreciation for it, because some of my friends from high school today are still very close friends of mine, and we talk about the beginning, and they share often how they're inspired by my story, and maybe sometimes I'm embarrassed at the role they played early on. So for me, I just think that, I think you said earlier, there's a lot of unlearning that I think our community must do. And I think part of that are things of having this misconception of who I think you are, that you know, could easily turn into a sense of bullying or whatnot.
And I think it is a fine line that we talk about a lot. Black women do it almost every day in this country, but it is a fine line of tapping into that spirit of discernment, because some people are never going to change, but there are things. I was just having this conversation with someone who I worked with 15 years ago in Detroit, and she said, in high school or college, and she's a DEI expert, a leader like yourself, and she's like, oh gosh, I think about that now, and I'm like, and that's why we have to forgive ourselves and each other. When we know better, when we know different, we evolve. Apologize sincerely, but part of what you do with people and culture, you want to leave room for the growth. And if social media existed when I went to college, right around the time you were born, as I do the math in my head. You want to play the game? You were born when?
82.
I began college in 85.
Wow.
Do you know what that, you ever see the
Kevin Hart?
And I'm Don Cheadle.
I meant that in a that's.
It didn't work for Kevin. It's not going to work for you.
But I was like, wow, beautiful.
No, it didn't work for Kevin.
Okay. All right.
Let me continue.
Yeah.
You had a 16. You have had a 16+ year career in technology, finance, people, and I met you through your work in people and culture, and creating safe, braver spaces. You're presently a TA at Northwestern.
Well, I've been a TA on and off for the past 2.5 years. Working with a professor of mine that is just incredible. So Suzanne Munchin teaches a course, Selling Yourself and Selling Your Ideas at Kellogg. One of the most popular courses, a course that I took when I was in Kellogg, at Kellogg as well. So yeah, I've gone back to TA that course a number of times.
So when you go in TA, what are you seeing with this?
Yeah.
What are your feelings on the future, if we can use that one course?
No, it's a great point. So it's a communication course, and again, it's the title of the course is Selling Yourself and Selling Your Ideas. So the course really speaks to being able to not only develop a point of view, but have one, right? And it also encourages you of how to create a pointy point of view. A point of view that does this, that once spoken, the reception of the point of view gives the user just two options, either to opt in or opt out, and leaves little room for that gray area, for that area, right? So that's the type of course and type of tools we educate future leaders with. So as they navigate through their work, they are truly having a clear stage for conversation that they want to have.
Because
and one that
clarity
would
is
hopefully-
unkind.
Okay.
We knew it was going to happen. You and I talked about it.
Yeah.
We're at the end of this segment. It's not over. It's not over because I may have questions on the back end.
Yeah.
But we're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to come back for the final segment
Super.
called 3 for the Road.
Excellent.
We'll be right back. Stay with us. It feels like 2 minutes.
It felt like 10.
2. I'm
It
telling
literally
you.
did.
The players, the politics, the problems, and the people. Political Forum offers local legislators and political newsmakers an opportunity to participate in a one-on-one interview to discuss the most important political headlines in Chicago. Join us for Political Forum Wednesday at 7 p.m. on KNTV 19 and streaming at knTV.org. The world is watching Chicago. Chicago is watching Political Forum.
Yemi, my friend. We are back. This is called 3 for the Road. It's simple, but it sometimes trips people up, so I want to make sure I'm clear.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you 3 questions.
Okay.
You're going to give me 3 answers.
Got it.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Unflappable you are.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
listen, I think I am. But we'll
Okay,
see.
there we go. Yes,
We'll see.
okay. No,
We'll see.
we'll find out. Let's
Yeah,
do it
let's go.
together.
Let's go for
First
it.
question. If you could have dinner with any person living or dead, who would you choose and why?
I would choose my paternal grandfather, Odemo Samuel Akisanya, because he was a man who was one of the activists during Nigerians' fight for independence back in the mid-50s. He ended up becoming the king of a rural neighborhood. He had 9 wives and 43 children. And I'm just so darn curious as to why. And I'm curious.
I did not see that part coming,
Yeah,
but yes.
yeah.
Fair question.
And I'm curious as to hearing what the country was like back in those days and the fight that he fought and why he chose to live a civil life.
Okay.
So yeah,
Good start.
yeah.
Ready for question 2?
Please.
Do you have any regrets?
Ooh. You know, to be honest with you, Darius, I try to live a life without regrets, at least without acknowledging that certain decisions that might go wary are regrets. So I cannot think of regrets. Now, I can think of decisions that have gotten me into big trouble that I wish I would have thought differently on.
Okay.
But I'm always appreciative of the lessons that come out of them. So regrets, no. But generally speaking, I do have decisions that I wish I could take back.
Sure. Final question. One piece of advice present day Yemi would have given his 21-year-old self.
I would have said, or I would say, young Yemi, life is kind, life is beautiful. Slow down, listen, learn, and embrace the journey. Embrace the journey. Yeah. He wouldn't listen, I'll tell you that right now.
But it doesn't matter.
he
But
wouldn't
let me say this. 21-year-old Darius will be sitting right there going, "Oh, as soon as I get to 50, that is going to move me." But because 54-year-old Darius is like, "Oh, that's good." Right there, sir. With that,
Yeah.
this is the end of one of the many conversations we have going concurrently right now. I
Excellent.
do want to ask you,
Please.
because math is not sometimes my thing. So let's say 4 for the road.
Yeah.
What's on the horizon for you? You're doing amazing things. You got a
Yeah.
lot going on. What do you see 2023 looking like for you?
Yeah, no, it's an exciting question and really a timely question. And so as I mentioned, I think I mentioned to you via email, I stepped away from my role as global head of DEI at Groupon. I've started my own consulting practice, but I think what's important is that for the past, God, almost decade, I've been building and help develop DEI strategies, culture strategies, organizational change management processes, leadership coaching, X, Y, and Z. I've been doing these things for certain organizations. And with that, I've only been able to do it for those organizations, and the impact of that work has been limited within the workforce and communities in which those organizations serve. But what I've seen and what I've experienced over the last, 2 years, especially taking the work global in nature, I've realized that there is a need for this work and a need for agents who are passionate about this work to spread the tools of this work.
And perhaps, dare I say, and it's just me saying it, perhaps a little less censored.
Yes,
Fair
a
enough.
lot less
Fair
censored.
enough. And with that, sir, I thank you as always. I am so glad our paths are crossed. We are in this to the finish line, my friend. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Pleasure.
And thank you, Chicago and beyond, for joining us tonight. Look, I want to leave you with a final thought for the road, courtesy of diversity and inclusion expert Vernee Myers. Inclusion is not a matter of political correctness. It is the key to growth. Diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is being asked to dance. Diversity and inclusion, which are the real grounds for creativity, must remain at the center of what we do. Until next time, take good care of you and each other. Good night.